holiday gift to y'all. This is a preview of my new mini course called The One Document to Rule Them All. And it will help you with everything from your content writing, content batching, your confidence, your pricing, raising your prices adequately, and actually more than adequately. Really being able to easily convey the value of what you do and the ROI that your clients get, even if you're not in a money niche. Okay. So this is the part of the training that is actually like the most like knock your socks off part of the training. So if you're not a money coach or a business coach or a healer that has some kind of money connotation, this is going to be really, really powerful for you. Now, those of you that are in some kind of business or money niche, this is still super powerful for you. And as this is the part, the whole thing, the whole mini course, the whole this is going to be really, really powerful. It's one document to rule them all because it puts all of your important information in one place so that it's very easy for you to get content ideas and to create posts that are really going to get your ideal client's attention without being hypey, without being sleazy. It's just you're going to be speaking to them in a way that nobody else speaks to them, and it's really going to get their attention. Okay. So this section can definitely help with that. But the primary thing is that you're finally going to understand why it is that your services or your program is worth so fucking much. You do this thoroughly. You're probably going to see that you're undercharging, and you're going to be able to convey to people, like, even if the result that you produce is normally thought of as intangible. So for anybody who doesn't know these terms, like intangible would be like, this program helps you to be more happy. Well, tangible would be like, this program helps you to lose 50 pounds, or this program helps you to get your next promotion, or something like that. So everything has tangible and intangible results, right? So even if you're a business coach or money coach or something, this can help you to get at some of the intangibles that people aren't even thinking about. So there's not going to be a replay. So take notes, and you're not going to have access to this worksheet unless you pay for the program. Now, right now, hi, whoever's jumping on. Right now, this program for a Black Friday deal is only $47, and I'll be putting the link in the group soon, and that way you can have access to all the trainings. It's going to be something like 7 or 8 videos, and they're averaging about 20 minutes a piece. To really break down all the different tabs of this workbook, and to then show you how to use them all together for maximum effectiveness. There's also going to be an upsell where you can get a 90-minute intensive with me to help you with this, because sometimes I want to go over it. I'm going to give you a lot of examples, but sometimes it can be really difficult to do this work on your own. So if you do need help, you will have the opportunity to have that upgrade. So I'm going to do and look at the document and do the training. So I hope that you are taking notes, because this is very, 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 very valuable stuff. Hi there, welcome to the One Document to Rule Them All training, module 4, which is all about value and ROI. This is where you're going to see the phenomenal value of your program, okay? And this is important for you no matter what type of entrepreneur you are, no matter what niche you're in, whether you're a coach or healer, but this is especially important for niches that don't have a solid tangible, or it's not commonly thought of them having a tangible result or transformation that they produce. So relationship coaches, happiness coaches, spiritual coaches, stuff like that. Anything that doesn't deal with like money or weight. If you're a health coach that doesn't necessarily focus on weight, this is something that would be really, really good for you to do, regardless of what type of entrepreneur you are, or what niche you're in. This is something that is going to be very powerful for you and your pricing, your confidence. It's going to help you with sales objections. It's going to help you with your content. This is especially rich for content creation, because this is the stuff that's going to get people's attentions, because they're going to see that you know them and you are talking to them in a way that other people don't. Okay. So even if you're in a market that you feel like is really saturated, this is the worksheet that's going to give you all kinds of content ideas that is really going to make you stand apart without having to be hypey or sleazy or anything like that. So let's dive in. So what I didn't do when I edited the sheet was add in this section right here is all about what solutions they've either already tried or they are thinking about trying, or maybe they're currently trying. Okay. And this is to help you.
Some great things about that. Here's some not so great things.
It's going to help you like compare, and so you're gonna look at what solution that they're looking at trying, or they're already tried and it didn't work, or what have you. What are the pros? What are the cons of that solution? And I'll be honest. I mean, there may be actual pros to whatever it is that they're trying, right? And it's just you want to be clear about it, right? And you want to be honest about it. And then you're going to look at like what is the cost? Okay, what's the cost to them financially? How is it affecting their income? How is it affecting their health? How is it helping or affecting their mental and emotional health? How is it affecting their relationships, their friendships, their intimate relationships, their relationship with their extended family, their relationship with their coworkers, with their kids, all that stuff. And finally, why your solution is better. Okay. And the cool thing about, I'm going to be telling you about, some of these intangible things, like how it's affecting their health. All of these things, everything can be brought back to an actual financial dollar sign consequence. Okay. So you can really start to see. So this is comparing, like what other options do they have and how does it compare? Okay, so for weight loss, let's say that somebody is looking at having, they're really frustrated and they're looking at getting I was about to say bariatric surgery, where they're going to go in and they're going to, bypass the stomach, the gastric bypass stuff, right? So the pros, like people do lose a lot of weight like that, right? And the insurance may cover a lot of it, if not all of it, depending on what kind of insurance they have. And you want to extrapolate as much as you can on each of these things, because it's going to be so helpful. This is something when somebody's giving you a sales objection and they're talking about, well, I mean, this really, what you do is cost a lot of money. You can be like, okay, well, let's look at what other options you have. What's that going to cost you? And what's it going to cost you in terms of your health and your relationships and yada, yada. So the cons of it is that you've got to have surgery, right? And that's going to mean time off from work, which is going to mean, could have a financial consequence. There could be complications. There could be infections. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of people gain the weight back even with that, and there can be nutritional deficiencies. And I don't know, I'm not super educated about this, but I know that there are problems with it, right? So what are the costs? So we talked about, even if they have insurance, there may be medication costs, or there may be hospital costs that aren't covered, or that maybe they haven't met their deductible, or they're out of pocket for the year. There's health consequences to doing this. Your health may be better because you've lost weight, but you're nutritionally deficient. Like, you really have to watch your nutrition when you have this done. After that, mental and emotional health. So maybe you feel really great about yourself once you've lost the weight, but maybe you get really, really depressed when you gain it back. Okay, so and the nutritional deficiencies can have some consequences for your mental and emotional health. Like, I recently had to go back on vitamin D because when my body doesn't produce it. I don't know what the hell's going on with that. And so whenever I'm vitamin D deficient, I don't sleep as well. I have brain fog, so these kind of things can come up if someone is having this surgery and their body isn't absorbing nutrition the way that it's supposed to because they bypassed the stomach. It could affect their, relationships. It could put a lot of strain on their relationships, or, them having surgery and someone, having to step in to take care of them. It could strain the marriage because, suddenly the wife is having to do so much more with the kids because the husband is recovering from the surgery, or vice versa. It could improve their relationships. It could they could feel more confident and then go out and date more because they lost weight, right? So there could be positive, again, there's pros and cons to it, right? But you can look and see, like, if their health gets bad because of this, how much is that going to cost them for the rest of their life, and can the surgery be undone, and how much is that going to cost? Their mental and emotional health, if their mental and emotional health is rocky as a result of, whatever, whether it's mental deficiencies or being depressed because the surgery didn't work the way it was supposed to, or they gained the weight back, whatever. Whenever our mental and emotional health is off, that affects our productivity, which could mean that we make less sales if we work for ourselves or if we're in a sales position for someone else. It could also, maybe you don't get the promotion that you were really wanting, or you don't get the raise because your productivity, lapsed, or maybe your attitude around the office wasn't so great because you were, going through all this stuff. So you see how you could take all of these things, these kind of intangible things, and then tie it back to a dollar cost, right? And we're going to be doing more of that, like lower on this worksheet, where we're going to talk about what it's costing them to do nothing and how it's affecting all the areas of their lives. But right now we're talking about like what other solutions do they have? What other solutions are possible? And then here, this is another way of really getting clear on your unique value proposition. So if you've ever heard of the UVP, unique value proposition, this is, all about what makes you different, like why people should consider you instead of this other solution, or even someone else in your industry that does something similar, right? And so with this, maybe you teach people how to eat better, and teach them how to cook, great food that doesn't taste like diet food, and they're able to lose the weight in a more sustainable manner and keep it off without having to have surgery, right? Okay, so another solution for someone maybe who is having marriage problems. Okay, so maybe their solution, they think, is that they just need to have a divorce. Okay, they need to get a divorce. So the pro of that maybe is that they just don't have to deal with the problem anymore. They can just move on with their lives, right? The cons, it can be very, very expensive. It can be very emotionally disruptive. If you have children, then it's all the worse. It can, drastically affect your bottom line. Maybe you have to sell a home, or maybe you have to move, something like that. So, there's a lot of disruption that happens with a divorce. So let's say so you can look at, how's that going to affect their finances? They're probably going to miss some work. They're not going to be as productive. They're not going to be as happy. It's going to, maybe the stress of everything causes them to start having heart problems. Obviously, their relationship with their, soon-to-be ex-spouse is going to be probably going, into the shitter, unless they're very conscious people and they're doing one of those conscious uncoupling things. And maybe that's what you do, So it's like a traditional divorce versus a conscious uncoupling. Maybe you help people to avoid, some of this stuff. But let's say they're looking at the solution of just doing like a traditional divorce. So, it's going to be disruptive on their relationships. If they have friends that are like shared friends with their soon-to-be ex-spouse, then that's going to create a lot of awkwardness, right? So let's say your solution is to help them find common ground and help them to find ways of getting along and saving the marriage, right? So your solution is, going to keep them together. It's going to bypass all of this like chaos and disruption in their lives, and it's going to save them a shitload of money, right? And you can even talk about what makes you a little bit different than other coaches who do, similar things. Like maybe you use NLP, maybe you use neuro-linguistic programming. Maybe you are a certified PAX facilitator. PAX is a fantastic company. Understandingmen.com, I think, is their URL, or it used to be. And maybe you help them to understand masculine and feminine interactions so that they can have more peace in their relationship. Let's say it's a relationship in distress, and they're looking at therapy, right? So, there's pros and cons to therapy. Pros, again, your insurance might pay for it, but the cons are most therapy, the therapy that I've been exposed to, doesn't have the same kind of processing tools to really get to the root of things. Most therapy is a whole lot of talking and not a lot of action taking and change facilitation, so that would be why your solution is better, right? Okay, for business. So they may be looking at their business and they think, okay, I need to increase my ad spend. I need to be spending, we're spending $5,000 a month on ads, and we need to be spending more like $8,000 to $10,000 on ads because we're just not getting as many leads as we want. And, the pros of that is that they'll probably get more leads. The cons is that they're paying for more advertising. And this is kind of like a perceived need versus the real need too. So that what they really need to do is get clearer on who they help and how they help them and why they help, like kind of the stuff we're doing in this document. That if they went through all of that they could actually spend $3,000 a month on ads and get a lot more qualified, higher quality leads, right? And so your solution, maybe you charge them $10,000, but now they're spending less on ads and getting more business, right? So your solution is definitely better, right? So if you spend some time on this, and I don't know how many, it looks like I left like 7 spots. I am not attached to how you do this. If you want to take just the concepts and put this in a Word document or, whatever, if that works for you, some kind of word processing thing, that's fine. If you want to add some more, the more of these you can do, the more it's going to help you with your content. Excuse me, hiccuping and burping. The more it's going to help you with your content, and the more it's going to have all this stuff fresh in your head, so that when you're talking to people during sales conversations and they're maybe hemming and hawing about something, and you get into sales objections, you've already thought ahead, right? And the thing is, one of the brilliant things about this is that when people are stuck in a problem, they are usually so lost in this problem, right? That whole thing, like you can't see the forest for the trees. They are so lost in this problem that they don't have good perspective. And that's one of the most powerful things that you can do for your audience, for your prospective clients, is to help them to see the problem in a more expanded way so that they understand it better and they understand their options better. And if you can do that in your content, it's going to get their attention, because most people are only going to be coming at at weight loss and relationships and spirituality. They're going to be coming at it from very head on. This allows you to kind of sneak in from the sides and talk about some of the fringe things, and it's gonna really show your expertise. It's going to show that you really know what you're talking about. Okay, and the more you can know this, the more powerful your copy is going to be. The more powerful you're going to be on sales calls. You're not going to be thrown when they're like, oh, well, I know you help people to get pregnant by using nutrition to balance a woman's hormones, but we really think we're just going to go do IVF. And you can say, okay, all right, well, let's talk about IVF. And you've already done the research. You already know the pros and cons of that. And you can just, talk to them and be there in the space and help them to make the decision. Maybe they decide to go with IVF, but if you've thought ahead and you know this stuff, you're able to point out the pitfalls that they haven't even thought of yet. They haven't even done the research to be like, oh, wait, but there's that with that, right? Okay. So this is also super, super, super hella powerful, because again, when people are stuck in a problem, they know that it's affecting them, but they are so used to kind of like a baseline of misery or aggravation with it that they're not seeing all the other ways that it is affecting them, right? So this is where you can look at your experience with the problem and finding a solution, because most of us are doing something, our niche is based around something we've overcome for ourselves. So you can think about your experience. You can think about, people who have gone through this and what was going on in their lives when they did nothing. You can go to, You can look at, your clients. Like if you've been working with people for a while, you can think about it, right? But you can also kind of use your imagination by this. And I don't mean to like just make stuff up, but it's like, if they're not making money in their business, okay, obviously that is affecting their finances and their income. It's also going to be creating a whole lot of stress and anxiety and maybe some depression, right? And all of that stress and anxiety and depression is going to be having a really negative impact on their physical health. They may start, it may aggravate an autoimmune disorder or bring on an autoimmune disorder. It could, affect their weight. They could, need more medications, and then there's side effects from the medications, to managing, and they could have medication here, for the mental and emotional, stress and anxiety, right? Their moodiness, or, they maybe aren't getting enough sleep, which is making them moody, which is causing them to not be as clear in their business and not being productive in their business or at their jobs, which has been causing them to be passed over for God, it's been so long since I had a job. For promotions, that's what those things are. Promotions and raises and bonuses, right? And if they've got all this crap going on, then it stands to reason that they're not going to be as pleasant. They're not going to be as present for their relationships, no matter what those relationships are. Again, whether it's their, relationship with their kids, their parents, their significant other, their coworkers, their boss, right? And then when these relationships start going to crap, then that creates more stress and more chaos and more disruption, which then negatively impacts all this stuff all over again. And it's, this clusterfuck, right? So, so looking at it, so business and careers is a little similar to financial income, but they're not making enough sales, and they end up getting fired, right? And then it's harder for them to get the next job because they've got now, firing on their record, right? Which in turn affects all their relationships, their physical health, their mental and emotional health, and of course it affects their income. How is this affecting them spiritually? Spirituality is something that your people that you really play with, and I'll play with, but you're very interested in, and if that's a part of your niche, even if it's not, maybe it's really important to them to tithe to their church, and suddenly they've got all this stuff going on and they're not able to tithe, and that, produces some guilt. And, I don't know, my aunt's church, like they're on you like a hawk, like they know if you're tithing or not, and there's like some major peer pressure there. I don't know if it's like that at all churches, but it's really like that at her church. Okay, so this again, when you start looking at this, and like I was talking about, like obviously if you're not making enough sales in your business, or you're having problems at work, that can affect your income. But then you start having to treat mental and emotional health with drugs or even supplements. That shit gets expensive, right? So there's you can talk about missed income, like income that they don't get because they're having problems, or opportunities that were lost. Their relationships being crap, maybe they've got to go to therapy for that. Maybe their kids end up having to go to therapy, or their kids start having behavioral problems at school. Maybe it leads to them, all the stress and all this crap ends up leading them to a divorce, which is going to have a dollar cost. So you see how, like, I'm just kind of like running with an idea and just thinking about what are the consequences of each of these consequences. And it's like every consequence has 5 more consequences. And, I'm not talking about anything crazy. I'm not making anything up that is not completely likely, right? But getting in touch with all this and then thinking about, like, what is the eventual, if there's not an immediate dollar cost to this consequence, what is going to happen from that consequence? What's the next consequence, and what's the dollar cost of that? So when you do this is where you get in touch with how much misery you are saving them from, how much money you are saving them, how much opportunity you're keeping open for them, or even opening up for them. And this this is, between these two exercises, you can really start to see, like, if you're scared of charging high ticket and you're like, oh my gosh, because I was like this for a long time. I'm like, I can't see charging someone thousands of dollars for what I do. And, I'm like, yeah, but I mean, I get the value, but like, can I really justify charging this much? When I did this exercise and really saw what I'm saving people from, I mean, obviously they have to show up, they have to be willing, they have to do the work. But when I really got in touch with how much money I'm saving them, and really beyond that, like how much wear and tear on their bodies, how much misery, getting these solutions can be, that's when it became a lot easier for me to charge high ticket. Like I have no problem charging high ticket now and feeling good about it, right? This is also something that, again, most people aren't sitting down and thinking about this, maybe they're looking at their weight and their, physical attractiveness. And they're like, I mean, I could fix this, but I really don't want to spend the money on it right now. I mean, I'm just, I'm a little overweight and, it's not a big deal. But, because this is your area of expertise, that overweight people don't get raises or opportunities for promotions as often as slender people or athletic people. You also know that the longer they're heavy, the more chance they have of heart disease and diabetes and even cancer, right? So you know all of this stuff, and you're able to say, well, yeah, I mean, you could wait. If they're like, oh, I want to, maybe work with you in 6 months. You'd be like, well, yeah, but have you thought about the consequences? Like what's going to happen the longer you let this go? Because in their minds, it's not costing them anything to live with this problem. And it's your job to know exactly how much it is costing them. Okay. So again, I was pretty liberal with the space on this one because you could really go for like ever on it. But do whatever format and, be very, very thorough, and if you can think of other kind of sections of their lives that are affected, that's always great too. But this writing copy from this, like you could do 5 days of copy, where you're just like, okay, on Monday, I'm going to write about what it's costing them financially, the hidden cost of staying stuck. On Tuesday, you're going to talk about the mental and emotional consequences. On Wednesday, you're going to talk about physical health. On Thursday, you're going to talk about the relationships. And on Friday, you're going to talk about spirituality, how it is costing them spiritually. So I'm going to be doing a whole training where I talk about how to use the whole document like this to like very, very easily create your content and batch your content so that you can show up like gangbusters and do it in very little time. But that is, that's something that you can do, what I was just talking about, like that's educating people, and it's also kind of heading off objections before they even get there. It's a way of showing, a very unique way of showing the value of what you do. Yeah, this is probably my favorite part of this whole training, but like the whole thing is gold. So the next thing we're going to be talking about in module 5 is your brand topics. Okay. And you see, I've been playing around with a couple of different names of this. So it was the Simple Brand Bible, but I'm geeky, so I like the one document to rule them all. And this is where you're going to get like super, super clear about what topics you're going to cover. And a lot of this you'll be able to pull from these previous sheets. And so that you're really clear about what you need to be talking about all the fucking time so that people know that you're the go-to expert for this. So go back, go to your value ROI. I really suggest you stopping and doing the work in between watching the videos, because it's going to help you to get so much more out of it. And yes, perfect. So tune in for module 5, which will be your brand topics. Hey, everybody. So that was actually, I was having a lot of technical difficulties. Oh my gosh, I was trying to do too much at once. I was trying to go live in here and go live on my profile, and there got to be a lot of confusion. So what the version of it that I did in the group was actually a little bit longer. I think I gave more examples, but that was my first try at doing the full training for that module, and it was actually shorter. So I may switch it up. I may use the live that I did in the group originally in the program. So I'm excited to hear what you think. I'm excited to hear your questions, and I'm going to be taking both this watch party down and the original that I did in the group down because this is a sneak preview for my program, the One Document to Rule Them All. If you notice down at the bottom of the training, there was 7 tabs. And so it gets you really super clear on so many things about your business, and it makes it very, very easy for you to create content from it. And the bonus videos, one of them is showing you exactly how to batch create the content, like super easily. And the other one is showing you how to rotate it so that you get to show up over 30 times on social media in 1 week with just 5 posts. Okay. And that can be modified. So thank you guys for hanging in with me with all the madness. Thank you for being a part of the group. And for those of you watching on YouTube, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody in the States, and happy Wednesday now, and, you know, rest of the week to everyone else. Bye. Oh, check out my One Document to Rule Them All. I'm going to put the link in the comments. If you're on YouTube, come over to my Facebook page and you'll be able to find links to it. It's normally $500. It's normally $497, and I'm selling it at over 90% off for Black Friday. It's $47. It's going to wind up being like over 4 hours of video trainings plus the worksheets, and it is phenomenal. So thanks, guys.